one that's going to be so easy because there's just so many things that Richard has done among us that inspire and change us. And on the other hand, it's so hard because I have so little time to talk about it. But let me just start by saying that it's been said that every great story has an element of transformation. It's always about how a character in the story has gone through some sort of change, either from internal forces or elsewhere. And I think if I were to look at the experiences at the time that Richard shared with us, I think one thing that we can see is how much God has really transformed him through the time that he spent both at our church and also before. I just want to just share with you just 3 things that came to me when I was spending time thinking about it. Richard is never shy to share about what his former life was like. And in one way, that throughout his upbringing, he had a really tough time dealing with the female authorities in his life. And in this one instance, we see that God transformed him from someone that struggles with that into somebody who would just die for the sisters among our church. And the distance that he would go to protect the members of our church can hardly be described. Just take it for one example. I'm sure some of us have experienced the self-defense classes that Richard liked to demonstrate. My mother personally went through the training, and it happened in my backyard. And she was able to throw Richard over her head on the ground. That testifies to the effectiveness of his techniques. But more so, even with his modest means, he would always be handing out pepper sprays and flashlights to anybody who doesn't have it, even if they have it at home. I think that is just an indication of how much he cares for the people around him. Of course, not just for the sisters. Richard was also transformed in another dimension. It's an area that he just can't let go of opportunity that he can witness or he can disciple someone. He seriously took the Great Commission to heart, that whenever there is an opportunity for him to disciple someone, he would do so, at whatever amount of time or effort on his part. As an example, Richard also is a great judge of character. I think early on he took likeness or kindness to me and was spent a lot of time in fellowships and just in various ways that we're able to communicate and just do the everyday actions. He showed me what God's love is like and how to express that to the people around me. And there are among us other members who has had that privilege to be discipled by him, and I think that's one of the greatest things that he has given us as a community. Finally, on the last aspect, I think if transformation were difficult, this might have been the most difficult aspect of this. Richard is a fiercely independent person, and he would have probably preferred to rely on no one, but God had other things, and through our church and community, the few years I had, especially towards the before Josiah left Madison, it was, to me, I see a clear transformation of me from someone who was still being molded into someone who will become much more like Christ in his obedience, and also just the way that he has humbled himself, not only to serve others, but to be served by the community, by the people around him. He once shared a story with me about a period in his life when he spent a few months of time in the mountains all by himself. He tracked, I believe these are the Appalachians, in the vast distance. And when he shared this, he had that joy in his eyes, because there was no one there other than him and God on that trail. And I think that he will be able to enjoy that communion with God in the rest of him. And I wish we can all just continue to share and just to rejoice about the life that Richard has led and just the things that he has done among us. At the end, I think if we look back, his greatest testimony was really how much he has allowed God to change him. That in our lifetime, it's probably difficult for us to find an example of an individual who has been changed so much from where he came from to where he has been. And I think that will be the most challenging thing for me going forward is to try to learn something from his example.